What's up, everybody? It's Scott from All Chalk. Hey, I wanted to start the second half of the NFL season by bringing you guys a quick preview of the slate of games. So every Tuesday, I'm hoping to, once I've assigned the slate of games for the week, I thought I'd quickly break down the games and let you know just the bare minimum about those games. I don't want to get into betting trends and all the crazy things that a lot of the really sharp bettors out there might be thinking about when it comes to approaching how they would pick a certain game. Rather, I thought I would just really give kind of like a casual fan approach to this slate because I myself consider myself a casual fan. And I think that's kind of how most of my users approach All Chalk. So when I pick the slate, I always like to pick what I call the social games. Social games are the nationally televised games. They're the Thursday night game, the Sunday night game, the Monday night game, and then I like to round things out with the two most compelling matchups on Sunday. Typically, we'll do one from the early part of Sunday, the Sunday morning game if you're on the West Coast, and the Sunday afternoon game. So that kind of rounds out a full week of betting. It makes it like the perfect parlay. You have 6 picks and all the social games that everyone's going to be watching. And you can chat with your friends, and you can text message, you can do all that great stuff. So looking at Week 10, second half of the NFL season is getting underway with a good one. It's the Cincinnati Bengals on Thursday night against the Baltimore Ravens. We have the Baltimore Ravens -6. So it's going to be a rematch of a previously played game between these two teams. Previously, the Ravens came into Cincinnati. You can see here the Bengals are 4-5. They're currently in third place. The Ravens are above them in the AFC North at 6-3, just behind the Steelers, who are your division leader in the AFC North. But if you look at the previous game, you can see it was a really good one, right? It was an overtime game, very high scoring. The Ravens took care of business. They ended up beating the Bengals 41-38 in overtime. So as you think about this game, this time we have the Bengals going into Baltimore. It's a night game. It's nationally televised. The Bengals have a pretty good record on the road this year. They're sitting at 3-1 on the road. Their home record not quite as good, 1-4 at home. So will the Bengals be able to pay back the favor? That remains to be seen. But that's your Thursday night game. It's leading things off pretty nicely for the All Chalk week. Moving on into the Sunday morning game, another really good one. It's two first place teams. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers going into Washington to play the Commanders. Commanders -3 at home against the Steelers. Let's take a look at the Steelers. They are sitting in first place in the AFC North at a 6-2 record. The Commanders, meanwhile, are in first place in the NFC East. They're 7-2. They've been a really great surprise team this year. They have this young quarterback, Jaden Daniels, who's exceeding all expectations. A surprise to a person like me who doesn't always expect the world of a rookie quarterback coming into the league directly out of college and doing really big things. The Commanders have been one of my favorite teams to watch this year because of Jaden Daniels. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they fare against the first place Steelers. So moving on into the Sunday afternoon game. Before the season started, you would have looked at the schedule and you would have circled this one because it's the Philadelphia Eagles going into Dallas to play the Cowboys. The Cowboys for this Sunday afternoon game are going to be +7 against the Eagles. And let's take a look at why. So the Eagles are 6-2. They've been a really tough team to contend with by all opponents this year. The Cowboys, meanwhile, they are trailing the Eagles and the Commanders in the NFC East. They are 3-5, and I think that the Cowboys are probably the saddest story in the NFL this year, right? They went into the season with a lot of high hopes and big expectations, and by all accounts, they have floundered, right? They're not playing well. Also keep in mind for the Cowboys, we saw at the end of their last game, both Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, his favorite target, looking like they were a little bit shaken up. I don't know what the injury report is going to be going into that Sunday afternoon game, but it's something to pay attention to as you think about making your picks in that Cowboys versus Eagles matchup. Looking at the Sunday evening game, it's another good one. We have the Detroit Lions, the mighty Lions, against the Houston Texans. So looking at the Lions, we see that they are currently in first place in the NFC North right here. They're 7-1, 4-0 on the road, 3-1 at home. And then we have the Texans. The Texans are going to be 6-3, first place AFC South. So we have two first place teams. Once again, both teams are looking really good this year. The Lions are tough to beat. The Texans have played really well. So we'll see how that game goes on Sunday night. And finally, we have the Monday night matchup with Miami going into the LA Rams. Rams are going to be -2.5 in that game. And the over-under total, I guess the Las Vegas odds makers are expecting a high-scoring game. Looks like 51 is going to be your total. Let's look at those teams really quick. And we'll take a look at the Dolphins. The Dolphins are in third place in the AFC East. They have not played well this year. They're like the Cowboys, another team that went into the season probably with some pretty high expectations. Certainly they've underperformed. A lot of that's due to injury. The Rams, meanwhile, started off the season rather sluggishly when Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp came back onto that roster. Ever since they returned from injury and gave Matthew Stafford somebody to throw to, they've been playing pretty well. They're on a 3-game win streak. So take that for what it's worth. The Dolphins have been underperforming. The Rams are coming out of a kind of a sluggish start, and they've been performing well of late. Both teams are capable of putting up some points. I think the Rams are going to carry most of that 51. So if you're thinking about betting the over or the under, maybe take a look at the games that they played this year and get an idea for what their average score for the year is. So that's the slate for the week, you guys. I really hope that you enjoy this week 10. We're starting the second half of the season. I'm going to start putting out some content like this to give people something to talk about and think about. And I'm interested in hearing how you pick. So I wish you all a lot of luck in week 10, and I'll see you on the other side. Let's talk about it on Tuesday. Thanks.